Hello again, and welcome to War Stories, behind the scenes tales from the front lines of the media. I am your host, Tom Curley. How are you today? Well, it's the first show of the new year, and oh my God, I've got to tell you that it's ridiculous, and we had a tons of trouble, audio trouble, just to get on the air today. I have no idea why. But the one who put up with it and suffered in silence is, of course, my partner in crime, Mr. Gary Armstrong. Gary, Happy New Year. How the heck are
Uh,
you
b-
today?
well, my voice will uh, let our followers know that we're not who we usually are, and I don't know who we usually are, and we'll talk about that later. But a belated Happy New Year back to you. I think
Yes.
you have something in the slate to top our show, and then if we have time after that, we'll talk about why we're sounding the way we do, and we're talking about a bug that's gone rampant around the world. But let's start with the topic you were thinking about, and I think that was AI.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. We were both sick, and the only advantage is I have the announcer voice I've wanted all my life. Unfortunately, it's probably going to go away. No.
It does,
You had said,
and
yeah.
before we forget about our main topic, which we always do, I used to the bright side for me when I used to get a cold when I was younger was I thought, and some others said, but I thought I sounded like Nat King Cole. So I would walk around singing Mona Lisa to myself. But
Yeah,
that's then,
yeah,
and now is now.
yeah. Well,
So
there's
how
a
are you
reason
feeling?
that I'm actually I had a cold. It wasn't COVID. Oh, this was a fun holiday. My daughter came in to visit, and along with her half sister. And the very first night she was sick, and turns out she had COVID. So
Wait,
we all thought I had COVID too, except I kept testing negative every day, negative, negative, negative. And it was just a
yeah,
cold that's now become a persistent cough.
You've thrilled to his haunting interpretations of the classics. You've loved his renditions of the heavy metal masters. And now you can enjoy Zamfir, master of the pan flute, as he brings you his newest collection. Zamfir plays your favorite TV theme songs. Yes, Static House, a division of the Long John Sump Pump and Bassinet Society, brings you Zamfir, master of the pan flute, as he plays the television classics you've come to know and love. You'll hear all your favorites, like The Ballad of Gilligan's Island, Star Trek, and, of course, the famous theme to Mr. Ed. Remember, that's Zamfir, master of the pan flute, playing your TV favorites. And here's your announcer to tell you how to order.
Write out a check, put it in an envelope, mail it to us. Operators are standing up.
And it's changed my voice. But when you talk about how, have you ever noticed people always say that when they hear themselves on tape, uh, that's not my voice. I don't sound like that. And everybody goes, well,
right.
yeah, that's exactly what you said. Well, there's a reason for that. If you hear your voice on tape, it's not going to sound the same to you, because when
Right.
when people hear your voice, okay, talking to you on tape or live, you're you're only hearing it through your ears. But when you talk
Right.
yourself, you are hearing it through two sources. You're hearing it through your ears, but you're also hearing it through bone conduction through your jaw. And those two
Right.
signals
Right.
merge, and you sound differently. Usually, you sound a little deeper uh,
Yes, yes,
than
and
normal.
I'm
Right.
interrupting, so I apologize. It wasn't until I got my second cochlea that I finally heard how deep my voice is, and I thought, maybe I have a job, a career in that. And we had I think it was last year. We were visiting my two brothers in Minnesota, and we met a couple of their friends. And one of them came up, and I turned to say, "Hi, how are you?" And the guy looked at me and said, "Oh, there's the voice." And I honestly didn't know what he was talking about because at that point I only had the one cochlea. And he said, "Yes, that's the voice." But you're right. Now I'm hearing how I sounded for a whole bunch of years.
Oh yeah, no, you
I should
always
get
had
it.
a
Yeah,
you had a great broadcast voice. And also back, nowadays it's not quite so important, but back when we were coming
right.
up, if you wanted to get into radio, you had to have that
The
that
voice.
baritone, this is CBS voice, and you had to
Yes,
have a certain
yes,
accent, which meant that you didn't have an accent. It was a very broad non-accent
yes.
accent. Yeah, you said you wanted to talk about AI, and I find it fascinating. I'm amazed at how quickly it went from science fiction into the mainstream, and
Yes.
how all right. Or for instance, there's a show called Black Mirror. All right, and this it's sort of like the Twilight Zone, and it's all about how technology can screw everything up. And the
Yeah.
very first episode of this season, I highly advise everyone to watch it. It's called Joan is Awful, and it stars Selma Hayek and Anne Murray. And basically, she's just a person who was working, and she goes home one day and she turns on Netflix, and this is on Netflix, except it was called
Okay.
Streamberry. Okay, and there's
Right.
this program called Joan is Awful. And in it, Selma Hayek is playing this character who looks exactly like Annie Murray. She's working in the exact
Right.
same work, and the events of that day are in the show. Okay. And her
Okay.
boyfriend, they're sitting, goes, wow, that really looks like you. And it literally goes up to the present, and it's literally a show that's happening in real time. And she goes to
Okay.
her lawyer, and basically the lawyer says, there's yes, they've stolen your life. They're making an AI version of your life, and they track you through your phone and everything, and there's nothing you can do about it, because when you clicked
Right.
agree to the terms of services, when you signed on to the streaming site, you agreed to do this. All right. And it gets funnier
Wow.
after that. And 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 everything is created AI. Now the ironic thing is, a few months after this thing debuted, the SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild went on strike
Right.
specifically because of the AI problems. As far as
It,
the Writers Guild, it's AI writing scripts, and as far as the actors, what companies literally want to do is take you. All right, you've done extra work, okay, in movies. You've talked about it,
yes. Yes.
and so what they want to do is they want to take you in for one day, and they want to digitize you. They want to film you from every angle and record your voice. And then
Right.
they will pay you for one day, and then they will have your image in perpetuity, and they can put you in any background scene as an extra, and they can even let you talk because they have your voice. This is absolutely
Right.
possible, and this is why they stayed on
Yes.
strike for so long. And it's yeah,
I,
go
I
ahead.
I mentioned to you. I mentioned to you my first awareness of AI as an entertainment product when I saw the most recent Indiana Jones movie with obviously Harrison Ford. And they go back, the movie begins when he was younger, 1939, in Nazi Germany. And there is the young Harrison Ford, but it really isn't. It's just what you're talking about. They took AI,
They
got him
de-aged
from
him.
when he was
Yeah.
younger and used him. And you know what occurs to me? When you watch all of the old biographical movies where the subject is young, then he gets older, they usually use two or three actors to portray that person. Now they can just use one AI actor to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really
Um,
curious.
uh, our friends, my my co members of Voicescapes Audio Theater, who are all professional actors and also mostly they do audiobooks and voiceovers, and they're very concerned because the whole audiobook industry now. I've seen programs. I can buy it for $60. It's a text to speech uh, software, but what it does is now it says, I can add emotion. I can sound angry. I can sound happy. And an engineer can go in there and adjust the pitch and the delivery. Now, you would say, why don't you just have the actor do it rather than spending hundreds of hours to have an audio engineer have to finesse line after line after line? Well, because they think it's cheaper. And it's
Yeah.
very scary. News, your job, your old job, news would be the easiest.
Yeah.
Especially for the anchor. You digitize Dan Rather, you digitize Scott Pelley or whoever's doing Lester Holt, and you just the prompters, the script is already in the teleprompter, and you just do it. And there he reads the news. It's really, really, really
That's scary. Yes.
Yeah, it's very scary. Absolutely. Well, we have used AI in this show. We've been using it.
You have.
I'd say since our fifth show. I have an art program. I downloaded an AI art program, and you just type in a sentence, right? And it will render a picture, and you can tell it to do it in cartoon style or Baroque style or in the style of Van Gogh. And but the pictures are very, very strange.
Hold on.
right,
Hold on. Just hold on a minute, my faithful companion. Are you telling me that you have AI'd me? Is
Oh
that
yeah,
what you're
no,
telling me?
not you, but I could. No, what I did was we did a show a ways back where we were. I don't know what we were talking. Oh, you told a story about the reporter who used to eavesdrop on your
Yeah.
on your reports and then run back to his
Yeah.
crew and steal your material.
Right.
And
Right.
we made a joke about Edward R. Murrow hiding behind a tree, listening to Walter Cronkite. So I typed in Edward R. Murrow hiding behind a tree, and the damn thing generated a very reasonable facsimile of Edward R. Murrow standing behind a tree.
Oh wow.
But if you
I have to go back and watch
zoom
that
in,
show again then.
well, the picture will be up. It probably already
Okay.
has. But
Okay.
it does weird stuff. I was
Yeah.
doing a piece with an old friend. It's a bit about a superhero and a supervillain doing a radio show to pay the bills, and it's during the commercial break. They're having a conversation, and I wanted to animate it, so I thought maybe I could use this program. So I typed superhero, and I'll show you. You'll see what it posted, and it posted it, but it was sort of gay. And then I had it do it again, and it was gayer. And then I had it do it as a cartoon form, and it was even gayer. And then every time
Wow.
I read an article, I said, all right, make me a picture of a pretty Irish lady. And it
Okay.
gave me a picture of a beautiful Irish lady, except she was naked. And I didn't say anything about naked. And then, so I said, give me a pretty German lady. And it printed a German lady, but she wasn't naked. And then I needed something for a grandma. And I said, grandma. And it made a grandma, but she was naked.
Naked?
And I went, what is with this program? What is with this program with the
Kinky.
nudity, for God's sakes? Oh, it's very kinky, and it makes images. It makes images. The faces, if you zoom in on them, they're distorted and strange. So the point is that
Wow.
it's not there yet. the AI
Okay.
Chat GPT that they've used to do scripts. Okay, yeah, it'll type out a screenplay. The problem is if you read it, it's not a very good screenplay. Now we
Okay.
here again. After I think about show 5, I actually bought a thing called the Chironomatic 2000 instantaneous graphics generator, and
Right.
it's the program that makes all the graphics and comments that you see at the bottom of the screen
Uh,
throughout various shows, and I really don't have that much control over it. And I have to admit that I don't want to say it has a personality, but it's sort of a smartass, and it always
yes.
it's
Yes.
always trying to be funny, and it's usually goofing on you and you and me or whoever
Yeah. Yeah.
is doing it. And hang on, what I can see that. Yes, I can see what you're writing. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can. Yes. I know you do it in post. I know you do it in post, but I'm the one that's there in post. So, yeah,
This is
yes, I
happening
can
right
see
now.
it. Knock it
This
off.
is bizarre.
Good.
This is really bizarre.
I tell you,
Oh, wow.
I go through. Yeah, well, it turns out normally I could only see it in post, but I found that there's a little box you can check. Um, you can watch him as he's doing it. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud. But anyway, so yeah, AI is a danger. It's not anywhere near as sophisticated as I think people think. But here's the thing: all of the leaders of Google and Microsoft and ChatGPT and all these companies that are making all of this AI, right? They've
Yeah.
all gone to Congress and written letters saying that there's a real fear that AI could be a mass extinction event for humanity. All right. And to which I
I
go,
can see that the way you describe it.
then why are you still doing it? And thirdly,
Yeah.
haven't any of you watched any of the Terminator movies?
I'll be back.
Haven't you watched a single episode of Battlestar Galactica? I mean, there were 2 versions. So, I don't get it.
Tom, I hate to jump into these shark-infested waters, but are we likely seeing it now, or will we see it in the election?
Yes. Well, I definitely see one candidate using it.
Yeah,
Um,
I can understand that.
uh, but here's the problem. It's actually, well, what you're talking about is not just AI. You're talking about deep fakes. Okay. Now, a deep fake, which
Yeah,
is pretty impressive, um, is where they digitize you and then they find somebody who can do a good vocal impersonation of you, and then they can make you
right.
say anything. Uh, Barack Obama did
That's
one
scary.
with to show it, and they had Key and Peele, uh, the comedy duo that does the bit where one
Yeah.
plays Barack Obama and the other plays his anger interpreter. Well, they had Peele, or yeah, Peele, Jordan Peele, do the voice because he does a very good Barack Obama.
President Trump is a total and complete dipshit. Now, you see, I would never say these things, at least not in a public address, but someone else would. Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet. It's a time when we need to rely on trusted news sources.
They also did one with Tom Cruise. So that's a possibility. Um, but as far as AI writing scripts, what apparently it can do is like accounting and simple tasks. And
Yeah.
everybody's excited about how AI can, take over people's jobs. But here's the thing. Automation has been taking over industry now for decades, all right? And that's a common complaint with the blue-collar worker, the automaker,
Right.
the factory lineman. But now the AI is talking about taking away jobs from white-collar workers, from middle management, okay? And AI can do well, quite frankly, my dog could do some of the middle managers I worked with, better, but that's a whole other
I understand that.
that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But they're going to start all right. For instance, paralegals, medical assistants, law clerks, executives. So now, when you start taking all these jobs away, how does society continue to go on? If there's a robot or a computer that can do everybody's job and everybody's out of work, well, the cyborgs are going to be the first ones up against the wall when the revolution happens. I mean, nobody has thought any of this through. But yeah, we will see it in the election. I don't know, in what form, but look, this election is already, we have gone so far down the rabbit hole. Let's get real here. It's now
I agree.
2024. And your entire career, we were both in the business for over 40 years. Have you ever seen election insanity like what we are seeing
Yeah.
now? I mean, it's just
Yeah.
incredible. And I know we've talked about this on other shows, but I swear to God, since then, it has gotten worse. The desire of the media to somehow normalize all of this, to somehow, we find a poll,
Yes. Yes.
this guy's got 91 indictments. He's going to be spending more time on his. Have you ever heard of anyone that's having 4 or 5 trials all going on at the same time?
No.
I mean,
No.
Lucky Luciano, Al Capone, none of these guys, they were just usually being arrested once. But this is
Right.
absolutely insane. And I know I follow all this, and these claims he's making a claim of absolute presidential immunity. He's going, anything I did as president, I'm immune from.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
By definition.
Exactly.
And I'm immune from it forever. And everybody's going like, what, are you out of your mind? He didn't commit
Well,
the
if you take it
insurrection.
just one step further, Tom, he and his followers or people who are going down that same rabbit hole are essentially also saying, in addition to what they've done or whatever records they've compiled, they're saying they can do anything and it doesn't really matter because
Yeah, and it
the image they're
doesn't really
presenting
matter.
to the public overrides that. That's scary. Very scary.
Here's his arguments. Okay, I didn't commit an insurrection. Oh, I'm not eligible to be disqualified under the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment because I didn't take an oath to support the Constitution. Okay, now, okay, and you know how they're doing this? He did put his hand on a Bible, which I'm surprised it didn't burst into flames. In 2016 and 2017, and he, did the presidential oath. But the presidential oath says, I vow to defend and uphold the Constitution. It doesn't say support. So they're going, I never said because the 14th Amendment says anybody that's taken an oath to support the Constitution. Well, I didn't take an oath to support it. I took an oath to defend it. Are you out of your mind? And then he's going, I also have immunity because I was impeached twice and I wasn't convicted. So that's double jeopardy. Except that's not what the Constitution says. And
Exactly.
Mitch,
Exactly.
exactly. So every one of his arguments is not just frivolous, it's ludicrous. It's basically, I can do whatever I want. It's the Nixon. If the president does it, it's not illegal.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
By definition.
Exactly.
And I can never be punished for it ever. And his idiots, they believe it. It's really sad. Really, really
They
sad.
do. They do, which leads me to, I'm sure you're getting it down your way also, but the Boston TV stations are covering the upcoming New Hampshire primaries. And very quickly, when they're talking to people who are supporters of our former president, what essentially what they're saying is, yeah, he has all of these indictments, and yes, he's been in court, but nothing's been proven. And we like him, and what's behind these indictments? Do they really mean anything? Until we see something meaningful, we're with him. So,
Well, the other thing that they pulled off, and I've seen it from friends of mine who are not supporters in any way, shape, or form, they'll say, well, the first trial that might be up because of all this delay maneuvering is the New York trial with Stormy Daniels. And he immediately
yeah,
went, well, that one really doesn't count. That's really just not that important. And it's like, when did we enter a world where you go, this guy is up on 34 felony counts that could put him in jail for 20 plus years, and you go, it's
right.
just paying off a porn star. It's not important like the other ones. What the hell? I mean, they got Capone for
I know.
tax evasion. They never got him for murder or all the other shit that he did. So
Right.
it's insane that and then they're going, well, the people of the United States should have the right to choose. Well, they did in 2020. They chose not to reelect him. And they're also going, well, if the people want him to be president, it doesn't matter that he's committed crimes. If the people vote it, then so wait a minute. So you're going, I rob a bank and I kill the security guard. Now, they arrest me and they indict me, and I go, but I'm running for president, and the people really like me, and I've got a poll here that says I'm doing good with my base, so you have to let me run for, and if I get elected, that means that I'm not guilty. What universe have we dropped into?
Good question.
Absolutely insane. Good question.
One of the local TV political analysts, and I respect this fellow, was asked by one of the anchor people, I think it was last night we were watching, about the campaigns and the likelihood that the former president would be reelected given all of his legal problems. And this veteran political analyst said, I've covered however many campaigns. And he said, I pride myself on knowing where this is going. And he said, now I don't know. I feel like I'm a youngster jumping into uncertain waters. I couldn't legally, rightfully tell you that I know what is going to happen. So
Nothing is normal.
it's scary.
Nothing
I
is
keep
normal.
using that word, but
And
it is very scary.
but it's also, there's a human impulse to try to normalize something, to try to bring it back to the way things were, to try to explain away the insanity. And the other problem, I'm sorry, with the media, and I blame all of them for this, even the liberal media, is that it has to be both sides. We say something
Right.
bad about Trump, and now we have to say something bad about Biden. Well, let's see, Trump's up for 91 indictments. He doesn't know what city he's in, and apparently he doesn't smell good. All right, what do we got on Biden? Well, he's old. Okay, Biden's old. Oh, wait a minute. Trump's old too.
Right.
And they've got to stop this. They've got to stop.
Well,
And, it's going, well,
they have
he
to.
could be
Remember,
indicted.
remember, you said a few shows back that I think we were talking about the late night talk shows and how they, even when nothing really has happened, the subject for the monologue is the former president. And sure enough, that night, the talk show, and we were talking obviously about Stephen Colbert. Nothing
Mhm.
much had happened that day except bad weather, maybe some fires here and there. But the topic in his monologue was the former president. And it was the
Mhm.
same old. And it's the laughter is not there for me anymore. It's because it's too
No.
scary.
It's too yeah that it's happened at all, and I'm sorry, but
Yes,
again, well, we did a show. We're not going to do a thing about polls again because we've already done that. The utter
right.
absurdity of polls, the utter absurdity of making a prediction of yes, I mean it's good that everybody is still afraid, and it will make them come out and vote, but it's bad enough. All right, 91, indictments. Fine. Convicted of rape. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. He says he's going to invoke the Insurrection Act on day one. Oh, well, that's okay too. He wants to be a dictator for life. Well, we don't care. It's just crazy. But no matter what you think is going to happen, it's going to be weirder because it has been. And guess what? We did it again. We
We've
wasted
run out of
another half
time.
hour. But anyway, on that note, which is really upbeat, let's get to the plugs really quick. Haven't done this in a few weeks. Marilyn's blog, Serendipity, Seeking Intelligent Life on Earth, getting harder every damn year. Voicescapes Audio Theater for the best in audio comedy and drama. Half-hour radio show. Funny, funny, funny stuff. And my sister podcast, Get Off My Lawn, starring me, Tom Curley, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything. So, Gary, our first show of the new year. See ya next week. Toodles. I can still see that. Yes, I can. Knock it off.